Shameful for money.
Capitalism.
My proudest moment.
My name is Azodi, and I am a K-pop producer and K-pop YouTube content creator.
Great. So tell us the first time you tried to start business.
I didn't actually go into business straight away, but I actually had, I guess you could call it a side hustle as a freelancer. I always worked part-time in retail for like 14 years. But the whole time I was so basically I was freelance music composer and songwriter. So I always had like the side job working in a coffee shop, mainly Starbucks. And then I would use that to support my freelancing career. I took the dive full-time freelance in, I think it was September 2017. And then I've just been doing it ever since.
So what did you want to be when you were a kid?
I wanted to be a rock star.
And what do you think they would say if they saw you?
I'd say it's pretty sweet. I think it basically, you know, you kind of get a bit older and you're just kind of like, this isn't a viable life. You either make it by like, I don't know, a good age, like mid-20s or so. But the thing is, I did kind of always enjoy the writing part of it. I always had a fascination with working music in primarily Japan and Asia. So it just felt very natural to do this anyway. And I think it was always kind of going to happen on the cards eventually. So pretty happy how it's turned out.
What's your proudest moment to date as an entrepreneur?
I wouldn't call it entrepreneur, I'd call it musician. The biggest thing I've done, which I didn't appreciate at the time because I was quite young, is I performed at the Royal Albert Hall. That was pretty cool. I was in a youth orchestra. Then 10 years later, in my early 20s, I performed Wembley Stadium. That was 25,000 people. That was really cool.
What would you say is your strongest character trait?
Work ethic. Like I outdo most people in the most humble, modest way. I'm pretty consistent with what I've done. I've been writing songs almost every day since the age of like 21, 22, and I'm now 34. So I haven't really stopped. And sure, you get bad weeks and bad months, but ultimately I've racked up 15,000 hours, let's call it, over the 10,000 hour rule. Like it's just something I've always done.
How many hours do you reckon you work a day?
I'd be up. I used to be up at 5 a.m. I'd start work at about 6:30, and then I'd wrap up at about 7 p.m. When I look back in hindsight, I actually felt pretty miserable. I wasn't that happy. I wasn't getting enough sleep, and I do weekends if it needs it. Like sometimes you get deadlines for certain acts in Asia, and you've just got to work fast. A lot of collaborators I work with will be in the US, so there's different time zones you have to consider as well.
So what would you say is the most money you've ever lost or made in a single day?
Oh, I know, maybe $100 on some Bitcoin stock. I think that was during the spike in 2017, but I think that's probably the most recent thing that was like, what have I done?
If you were given £1 million, what would you do with it?
I think as a YouTuber, you would definitely put it back into merch because you know you can make that money back. But decent quality merch, there's a lot of YouTube channels of commentary channels ripping apart these big YouTubers who are just ripping people off. I won't name names, but there's some really overpriced YouTuber merch. So I would try and keep it try and reinvest. I'd reinvest in attending more conventions where I could meet a lot more songwriters who have better track records. That way I could work with them or at least build relationships with them, not try and sell straight away. And I think overall just try and make them 1 million into 2 million.
Is capitalism evil or good?
It's not evil. I think it's what people do with it that can be perceived as evil. And I'm sure people do, like tax evasion, big obvious one, people doing that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I think a lot of the time, wealthy people are made out to be a lot worse than that's fair. I don't think that's fair. I think a lot of wealthy people have earned it, but people don't want to see that. And sure, people can get born into it every now and then, but doesn't mean they know how to use the money in a capitalist way.
What would you say was your most difficult customer or client?
Oh, fuck, so many. Oh my God. This is actually, I can be honest with you actually, by the camera, this is kind of why, I was kind of brought in because I do run a business and I was doing content creation marketing for people. And you know what? I ended up packing it in because I was just like, fucking hate working with customers. Like, I absolutely hate it. I hate the dance you have to play with people. I dislike the way that you're constantly having to adhere to their needs. You're constantly undervalued, you're constantly underappreciated. And I got quite bitter towards the end of it, I'm not gonna lie. So I was just like, this isn't what I really want to be doing with my life. It was kind of a distraction from music. So I kind of focused more on doing music. So generally, I think that would be a good, I just don't like being treated like that. I prefer just to do the work, think big picture, and avoid any sort of management and customer relation.
Have you ever been tricked in business?
Yeah. People undervaluing you, trying to always undercut you. I'm constantly, because I'm quite a yes person, and I think that's a big problem. I think people can see that, take advantage of it quite a lot, and that definitely happens, especially with pricing yourself. I found that quite common, even like the last month or so. People are trying to undercut me, and I let it happen, so it's annoying in itself.
What was your most difficult time as an entrepreneur, and what did you learn from that?
You know what? Recently, over the summer this year, summer was really hard because I had a perception of something that wasn't accurate, and I put so much on this perception of something, and it didn't work out, and I was crushed. Like, I was really low. Like, it took me a good 3-4 months to get out of this real low crash, because I just thought like everything I knew over the last kind of couple of years was false or a lie or embellished, and I just fell for it. So I turned quite really sad about that. I felt that, I know it sounds stupid now, I'm going to say it out loud, but like I always thought that if you just work harder than everyone else, it's going to pay off. It's not the case at all. That's why I was doing those insane hours. I was getting up really early in the morning, finishing really late, and I thought that if I worked harder than everyone else, the rewards would come quicker, but no, not at all.
Tell us about a time where you almost gave up and then persevered.
Summer. Yeah, summer straight up. And I guess in a way I did fail and didn't go back to it. Instead of running my own business, I just went back into being a freelancer and working for someone else, which was, I guess it's kind of a fail, but in the bigger picture, it kind of worked out.
What's your biggest insecurity?
I'll tell you what, actually, dying. Just dying too early, that's quite scary because there's so much I want to accomplish, and if I die, then I don't get to do that.
What do you think is the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur, and how do you deal with it?
The hardest thing is not being able to control everything. I think that's quite hard. And then normally the way I deal with it is I'll just sulk for ages. I'll sulk for a bit that it hasn't worked out. I'll probably get quite low for like a few months, as I said earlier. I'll probably get quite low, and then you kind of get that kind of realization. You snap out of it, and then it's you're a better person. You know a lot more.
How much money do you make a year?
30k. It fluctuates because it's like freelance. A lot of the money will be from my doing the freelance kind of content creation, marketing. You get cuts in K-pop, which you don't control, but if I get a hit, depending on how many people I've written a song with, it could be worst case scenario, I'll make the song 5.5k, best case you make about 12 grand a song, and that's not including all the royalties that come in over the last couple of years after that, and re-releases of the same songs, you make more money that way. So that really fluctuates, and then royalties come quarterly, so 30k base, I'd say.
What do you think is the biggest mistake most entrepreneurs make, and what advice would you give?
Don't buy all the tools, don't buy all the equipment, don't buy all the memberships, because a lot of the time you can just do it yourself. It just takes a bit more time and energy. That's a big thing. Just basically don't spend money where you don't need it. You don't really need it. I think that's probably the biggest one.
What inspires you on a daily basis?
I think it's so ingrained. I've been writing songs for so long, and just doing video content creation for so long. It's just something that you can just happily wake up every morning and look forward to. I think that's inspiration in itself. I know people take it for granted a lot of the time, I find, and I think that's really important to remind yourself of what you're grateful for. For example, all I wanted to when I was working Starbucks was I wanted to do music full time, or at least have more freedom. And now I've got that, it's very easy to forget where you were a couple of years ago. So I always make a point to remind myself
Do you think poverty is a choice?
No, I think some people can't help it. I think like time period you're born in, gender, location, all that sort of stuff, what your parents are making, parent is making, it could be literally anything. So it's definitely not a choice. It's just dealt a good hand or a bad hand sometimes.
Did you take on any debt to get started in business?
No, I don't even own a credit card. Like, I'm absolutely terrifies me. Stay away from it. I think I kind of have my head screwed on with that one. So.
If you became the leader of the world, what would your first action be?
I'd probably see where the money's going and maybe try and filter a lot more money into, I think health would be good. I think science would be good, and like discovering new things. Something that really terrifies me is there should be more money invested in like studying new diseases and viruses. Just generally filtering money and see where it's going and try and do the right thing.
What's the most shameful thing you've ever done?
Oh God! So there was this cheap budget like film. I just looked fucking terrible, and I just did it. And the thing is with film, when you're scoring music for film, you've got to constantly watch it repeated over and over and over again, and it's so bad, and you're just like, you feel your soul, rotting like from the inside out, and you're like, how does anyone think this is good? But you can't say that because you're paid to just shut up and do the job, right?
Maybe just one quick inspiring word for anyone that might be inspiring.
One that's always stuck with me, which I always kind of go off, is indecision and delays are the parent of failure. You know what I mean? Like another one as well that I really liked was it's better to act the right way into thinking correctly as opposed to thinking into acting the right way. I always do that where you sit there and you try and plan your strategy and how it's going to work, but that never replaces you just actually just doing the work, and then it teaches you how to think properly. That's a big one that I learned.